Weather improves, perhaps you'll be thinking about going to a theme park, an amusement park. Well, one that's been closed for more than a decade is in Margate. And Ben's there to see whether or not the time is now for things to pick up for many seaside resorts which have been suffering, Ben.
Yeah, that's the big question, Naga. Welcome to Margate, because they're talking here about investing a lot of money in Dreamland. You'll remember this site was once famous. It was built back in the 1920s, and it was famous for all sorts of rides and attractions, attracting thousands of people to the site. But then, of course, in the downturn and when people got cheap holidays to move abroad, it meant, frankly, they didn't come here, the site closed. And today marks a really important day, a historic day, because it's reopening after 10 years. They've spent a lot of money here. But as I've been finding out, there's a lot of history attached to this place.
Dreamland, part of Margate since the 1920s, when its famous roller coaster first opened, drawing hundreds of thousands of visitors. And right through to the 60s and 70s, Dreamland drew the crowds to Margate. But then decades of decline set in, as cheap flights and package holidays meant more families could afford to fly overseas. The dream was over. The theme park closed in 2005, and just 3 years later, its famous wooden roller coaster went up in flames. But today, after years of campaigning, Dreamland reopens to the public. So is it the new start this town needs?
I love Margate. This is the weather as well, so it can only be good for the town. Yeah, definitely.
If they market it right and it is a big hit, I think it could draw people back to obviously British beaches.
It's going to bring a lot of business to the town, really. So because it's attracting a lot more people, and it's getting nicer as you see the turn of contemporary and new steps, and the old town's getting better as well. So bring the economy up, which is good.
Towns like Margate have struggled for years. Between the year 2000 and 2012, the number of people claiming job seekers allowance here rose by 76%. But research for BBC Breakfast suggests things may be looking up. Last year, for the first time in 3 years, that number fell. But in order to thrive, towns like Margate need to attract people back, not only to visit, but to live, work and spend. It's hoped investment in places like Dreamland can do just that.
And that really is the question. How do they get people to live and work here? And also, how do you create the jobs, not just in the summer when places like this, of course, look a bit better because the weather's nice, but in winter when traditionally, of course, you wouldn't expect many visitors to come to a seaside town. Well, with me, two people who may have some of the answers. Ed is from the Centre for Social Justice and Violet, who owns a cafe here. Ed, just to start with you, you compile these figures looking at the state of our seaside towns. Some glimmer of hope in the figures that things are looking up after decades of decline.
Absolutely, and it's no secret why seaside towns have been declining over recent decades. You see that their main industry, which has been tourism, badly hit as flights became cheaper and people decided to travel abroad. It meant that even during the boom years, before the recession, when other places flourished, lots of seaside towns stagnated, but it's really exciting to see that things are genuinely starting to change. Very simply, fewer people are on benefits, more people are getting jobs, and it's things like Dreamland setting up here that is bringing lots of those jobs to this area. What's really encouraging is that 250 jobs have been created, and I think the majority of them have gone to local residents. And if you want to tackle poverty in areas like Margate and other seaside towns, it is so important to make sure that people get jobs. So that is the first thing to do to try and tackle poverty in these areas and turn them around.
Someone who's creating jobs here is Violet. Violet, you run two cafes in the town. You've got a concession, a stand, stall here at Dreamland.
I've got a shop here at Dreamland, just outside. Yeah.
How important is it for something like Dreamland to be back for jobs and also for the local town?
It's a massive thing. Yeah, not only is it creating lots of jobs, but it's creating opportunities for local businesses and people to start businesses as well.
And they're hoping to make this site even bigger. Of course, it launches in a small sort of form today and then add more rides and more attractions, get more visitors here. What will that mean for your business? I mean, do you have plans to take on more staff?
Yeah, we've taken on 7 staff already. We will have to take on about 15 in total, and that's a massive step for us as a small business as well, and so exciting as well.
Okay, well, best of luck with it, Violet. And Ed, just one word from you. I mean, when it comes to the sort of chicken and egg scenario here, it's about build it and they'll come, or do you have to have people here in the first place to make it worthwhile for businesses like Violet's?
Well, one thing that's made it more likely that if you build it, people will come is that you have quicker rail transport from London to Margate. They've got 30 minutes off a 2-hour journey. That's made a huge difference to more people coming here. But yes, it's important that jobs are being created by this, but actually it creates a sense of ambition, a sense of pride in the area that we know from other areas is so important for making people believe that a place like Margate can be great again.